Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the entire reality TV universe, and welcome to the deep dive you've all been waiting for. For more than 2 decades, we've been invited into the lives of the Roloff family on TLC's Little People, Big World. We've watched births, we've watched weddings, we've watched triumphs, and we've watched tragedies. But we have never seen anything like this. The internet is on fire. Fan forums are in meltdown. And the very foundation of the Roloff dynasty is cracking under the weight of the most shocking allegations in the show's history. Forget the petty arguments over pumpkin season or the family squabbles over moving houses. What we're talking about today is betrayal on a whole new level. We're talking about criminal accusations. The whispers have turned into roars. The rumors are spreading like wildfire, and they all center around one woman, Caryn Chandler. The central questions are as explosive as they are unbelievable. Could Caryn Chandler be facing 2 years in jail? Is it possible that she stole over $1 million from the Roloff family? And is she the single-handed architect behind the final, bitter destruction of Matt Roloff's relationship with his children? A story that began long before his divorce from Amy Roloff? Now, before we go any further, a very important disclaimer. This video is an investigation into publicly available information, on-screen evidence from Little People, Big World, and the rampant speculation and theories that have consumed the show's fanbase. We are not stating these allegations as fact. We are dissecting them, analyzing them, and trying to understand how on earth we got to this point. Our goal is to lay out all the pieces of the puzzle from the very beginning to the chaotic present, and let you, the court of public opinion, be the judge. So grab your popcorn, get comfortable, and prepare to have your mind blown. We are about to pull back the curtain on the biggest scandal in reality television history. This is the story of how a farm manager allegedly became a mastermind, how a family legacy was allegedly turned into a crime scene, and how the dream of Roloff farms may have been stolen from the inside out. Part 1. The anatomy of a rumor, deconstructing the allegations. Narrator, let's start with the most jaw-dropping claim, the one that stops everyone in their tracks. Caryn jailed for 2 years. Where does a rumor like this even come from? We've scoured the internet, from the deepest corners of Reddit to the most obscure clickbait articles, to trace its origins. What we found is that there is no credible news source, no court filing, no police report that suggests Caryn Chandler has been arrested, charged, or sentenced to any jail time. So is it just a lie? A complete fabrication? Well, yes and no. The literal claim is unsubstantiated, but the metaphorical power of the rumor is what's truly fascinating. It hasn't gained traction because people believe she's actually in a prison cell right now. It's gained traction because, for a significant portion of the LPBW fanbase, Caryn has been holding the Roloff family legacy hostage for years. The jail rumor is simply the ultimate expression of a long-held belief that Caryn has committed a profound wrong against the family and that she deserves some form of justice. The rumor speaks to a deep-seated feeling of betrayal that many viewers have felt by proxy. They watched Amy Roloff's pain. They watched the family dynamics slowly sour. And they watched as Caryn's influence over Matt grew exponentially. For these fans, the idea of jail time isn't about a literal prison sentence, it's about accountability. It's a fantasy of justice for the perceived emotional and financial damage she has inflicted on the family they grew to love. Now let's move to the second, and perhaps more critical allegation, because it provides the motive for the entire scandal, the claim that Caryn stole $1 million. Again, there is no public evidence of a literal bank heist or fraudulent wire transfer. The stolen million, as theorized by fans, isn't about a single act of theft. It's about a long, slow, and calculated siphoning of wealth, influence, and most importantly, inheritance. The theory is multifaceted, and it has its roots in Caryn's very introduction to the Roloff world. To understand it, we have to go back in time. Back to when Caryn Chandler wasn't the matriarch in waiting, but simply the pumpkin patch manager. Part 2. The Long Shadow, a history of perceived betrayal. Narrator, to understand the present, we must exhume the past. Caryn Chandler first appeared on our screens, not as a romantic partner, but as a loyal and efficient employee of Roloff Farms. 4 years, she was a background player, the person helping to manage the chaos of pumpkin season, the largest event and primary income source for the farm. She was, by all accounts, good at her job. She was organized, she was firm, and she clearly earned Matt Roloff's trust as a business manager. But as the years went on, and as the cracks in Matt and Amy's marriage widened into chasms, Caryn's role began to subtly shift. And this is where the story truly begins, especially from Amy Roloff's perspective. In her explosive 2019 memoir, A Little Me, Amy dropped a bombshell that confirmed the worst fears of many fans. She wrote, and I quote, "I saw messages, pictures, and other things that should not have been shared between people who just worked together and were still married to other people. I was devastated." Let's pause and consider the gravity of that statement. Amy is alleging that Matt and Caryn were involved in an inappropriate relationship while Amy and Matt were still married, and while Caryn was still a paid employee of the family. This single claim reframes everything. It recasts Caryn not as a woman who fell in love with her boss after his marriage ended, but as a key player in the very destruction of that marriage. This original sin is the foundation upon which all other suspicions about Caryn are built. If she was capable of this level of betrayal against Amy, the matriarch of the family, what else was she capable of? Fans immediately began to re-examine old episodes through this new lens. Suddenly, scenes that once seemed innocent now looked sinister. A casual conversation between Matt and Caryn was now seen as a secret rendezvous. Matt's reliance on her business advice was reinterpreted as him being manipulated by a calculating opportunist. Her very presence on the farm, once her place of employment, became an insult to Amy and the family. Amy herself has never backed down from this. In scenes filmed after the divorce, her discomfort is palpable. She has openly stated on camera that she does not want to socialize with Caryn, that she finds it difficult to be around the woman she believes broke up her family. Caryn has been part of the farm for a long time, and it's just not healthy for me to be around them together. Narrator, this history is absolutely critical. It establishes the narrative of Caryn as an infiltrator, someone who entered the Roloff orbit under one guise, employee, and slowly, methodically, worked her way into the center of power. This perception fuels the financial allegations. The thinking goes, if she could steal a husband, why wouldn't she be capable of stealing money and property? Her transition was seamless. She went from farm manager to girlfriend, then to fiancé. With each step, her influence over Matt, and by extension, Roloff Farms, became more and more solidified. On the show, we began to see a shift. Matt, once the sole patriarch making all the decisions, now seemed to consult Caryn on everything. Family vacations, business strategies, and most critically, the future of the farm itself. He began to refer to it as our farm when talking to Caryn, a linguistic shift that did not go unnoticed by viewers or, it seems, by his own children. This perceived power shift is where the financial heist is alleged to have begun. Caryn wasn't just Matt's partner, she became his gatekeeper and his most trusted advisor. And that advice, many fans believe, was geared towards one thing: securing her own financial future at the direct expense of Matt's children. Part 3, The Crime Scene, a forensic analysis of the farm sale. Narrator, every great heist story has a prize. In this story, the prize is Roloff Farms, 100 acres of prime Oregon real estate, but more than that, a property imbued with 2 decades of memories, sweat, and family legacy. The promise, repeated ad nauseum throughout the show's run, was that the farm would be passed down to the next generation. It was the children's birthright. So, how did that birthright become the subject of what Zach Roloff himself called a hostage situation? Let's break down the timeline. After the divorce, Matt and Amy negotiated a buyout. Amy sold her half of the farm to Matt in a series of transactions, eventually making him the sole proprietor. The path was clear for one of the sons, Jeremy or Zach, to step in and buy a portion of the property to raise their own families, just as their parents had. This was the dream. Both Jeremy and his wife, Audrey, and Zach and his wife, Tori, made offers to do just that. And both were rejected. They didn't just walk away. They walked away estranged from their father, with a bitterness that has poisoned the family well to this day. Zach's attempt to buy the farm is the most well-documented, as it played out on the show in agonizing detail. While the exact numbers have been kept private, the fallout was brutally public. Zach and Tori made an offer on the north side of the farm, the side with the original family home, the pumpkin patch, and all the iconic attractions. Matt countered with a price that Zach found so offensive, so far beyond what was fair for a family deal, that it permanently fractured their relationship. This is the moment where the $1 million stolen allegation crystallizes. The theory isn't that Caryn took $1 million in cash. The theory is that Caryn influenced Matt to inflate the asking price of the farm for his own children, thereby stealing their opportunity to buy it. Let's analyze the motive. Why would she do this? The fan theories are compelling. Motive number 1, maximizing profit. This is the simplest explanation. If Matt sold the farm to his kids at a family discount, his net profit would be significantly less than if he sold it on the open market. By convincing Matt that the kids' offers were too low, Caryn was, in effect, protecting her and Matt's financial future. The stolen million could be the symbolic difference between the fair family price and the full market price they hoped to get from a third-party buyer. It was $1 million decision that prioritized her future with Matt over his children's legacy. On the show, we see them discussing their plans to build a massive new dream house on the property. That dream house costs money, and a full-price sale of the north side would certainly help fund it. Motive number 2, seizing control. This theory is more psychological. Imagine if Zach and Tori had bought the farm. They would have become the new heads of the family estate. Caryn, as Matt's partner living on a different part of the property, would have been in a socially subordinate position. Her nemesis, Amy Roloff, would be visiting her grandchildren on property now owned by Zach and Tori. The power dynamic would have shifted dramatically against her. By ensuring the kids couldn't buy the farm, Caryn cemented her own position as the unchallenged matriarch of whatever portion of the farm they kept. She wouldn't have to contend with a daughter-in-law as her new landlord. She and Matt would remain in complete control. It was a power play, a strategic move to eliminate any threat to her status. Motive number 3, a punitive act. This is the darkest theory, but one that many viewers subscribe to. It suggests that the inflated price wasn't just business, it was personal. For years, Caryn had faced passive-aggressive resistance from the Roloff kids, who were naturally loyal to their mother, Amy. They never fully embraced her as their father's new partner. The farm sale was her ultimate revenge. By dangling their dream in front of them and then snatching it away with an impossible price tag, she could deliver a devastating emotional blow. She could prove, once and for all, that she had more influence over their father than they did. Whichever motive you believe, the outcome is the same. The family was shattered. Matt put a for sale sign up on the very land he promised his children. He listed 16 acres, including the family home, for a staggering $4 million, a price no one in his family could ever hope to afford. The message was clear. The legacy was officially for sale to the highest bidder. Part 4. The Fallout and the Court of Public Opinion. Narrator, the for sale sign wasn't just a sign, it was a declaration of war. The family, which had already been fractured, was now irrevocably broken. Zach and Tori publicly distanced themselves from Matt and Caryn. They moved an hour away to a new home in Battleground, Washington, and the communication dwindled to almost nothing. The show, once a heartwarming story about a unique family overcoming challenges, became a cold and tense chronicle of a family falling apart. The scenes became almost unbearable to watch. We saw Matt and Caryn on one side of the property, living in their world, and Zach and Tori and their kids on the other, with a chasm of resentment between them. The court of public opinion went into overdrive. Social media became a battleground. For every comment defending Matt's right to do what he wants with his own property, there were 100 comments condemning him and, more specifically, Caryn. Let's look at some of the actual sentiment online. We've pulled some representative, anonymized comments from popular fan groups. Caryn played the long game. She broke up the marriage, and then she broke up the family. The farm was the final nail in the coffin. It's evil. Matt let his new woman convince him to sell out his own children. He traded his family legacy for her. I hope it was worth it. The way she smirks in the background when Matt talks about the farm being a business says it all. She has zero sentimental attachment. It's just a payday for her. This isn't about money. It's about control. She couldn't stand the idea of Tori being the new lady of the manor. She had to burn it all down to stay queen of the ashes. The overwhelming consensus among a very vocal segment of the fan base is clear. They hold Caryn Chandler directly responsible. She is seen as the snake in the garden, the puppeteer pulling Matt's strings, the architect of the family's demise. And this public perception has real-world consequences. The show's ratings have been tumultuous. The comments on Matt and Caryn's personal social media accounts are often a torrent of vitriol. They have been forced to disable comments on many posts. The brand they built over 20 years, a brand of family, resilience, and love, has been permanently tarnished. Of course, there is another side to the story. Is it possible that Caryn is simply a convenient scapegoat? Matt Roloff is a grown man and a savvy businessman. Is it not possible that he made these decisions himself? Perhaps he genuinely felt the farm was too much to keep up with. Perhaps he believed his kids' offers were, in fact, too low. Perhaps he is tired of the pressure of the family legacy and simply wants to enjoy his retirement with the woman he loves. This is the narrative Matt himself pushes. He has posted lengthy defenses on social media, claiming the show's editing is misleading and that he gave his children a massive opportunity with a half-off discount that they rejected. He paints himself as the victim, a father whose generosity was met with a sense of entitlement. But for many, that narrative falls flat. It doesn't explain the raw pain in Zach's face. It doesn't align with Amy's long-held story of betrayal. And it doesn't account for the dramatic shift in Matt's priorities that seems to coincide perfectly with Caryn Chandler's rise to power. So, after digging through all the evidence, the history, and the speculation, where do we land? Let's return to our explosive, initial questions. Is Caryn Chandler going to jail for 2 years? Based on all available public information, the answer is an unequivocal no. This is a powerful, symbolic rumor born from fan outrage, not from a legal reality. There are no charges, and there is no trial. Did Caryn Chandler steal $1 million? If you mean did she literally hack a bank account or walk away with a bag of cash, there is zero evidence to support that. But if you mean, did she orchestrate a situation that effectively robbed the Roloff children of their inheritance and potentially increased her and Matt's net worth by at least 7 figures at their expense? The circumstantial evidence, presented through years of on-screen dynamics and the testimony of family members like Amy and Zach, has convinced millions of people that the answer is a resounding yes. They believe she played the long game with masterful precision. She identified Matt as a man unhappy in his marriage and vulnerable to suggestion. She embedded herself in the family business, making herself indispensable. She allegedly encouraged the divorce, positioning herself as the supportive partner who understood his business ambitions in a way Amy never did. And finally, when the time came to pass the torch, she allegedly convinced Matt to light a fire with it instead, burning the bridges to his own children to secure her own palace. In this version of events, Caryn isn't just a homewrecker or a gold digger. She's a mastermind of a decade-long emotional and financial heist. But we must, in the interest of fairness, present the alternative. The alternative is that Caryn Chandler is a woman who fell in love with her boss. She is a woman who has endured years of animosity from his ex-wife and children. She is a supportive partner to a man who is making his own, difficult decisions about his business and his legacy. In this version, she is not a villain, she is a scapegoat. She is the easy target for a family that was already dysfunctional and for fans who are resistant to change. So what is the real truth? The frustrating answer is that we, as viewers, may never know for sure what was said behind the closed doors of those failed negotiations. But what we do know is what we saw. We saw a family, once united, now shattered into a million pieces. We saw a legacy, once promised, now for sale to the highest bidder. And at the center of it all, we saw one woman's journey from farm manager to the controversial queen of the crumbling Roloff empire. The court of public opinion has delivered its verdict. For them, Caryn Chandler is guilty. But the question we leave you with is this: was she the cause of the Roloff family's destruction? Or was she simply the final symptom of a decay that had started long before she ever appeared on our screens? Last time, we pulled back the curtain on the scandal that has rocked Little People, Big World to its core. We dissected the explosive allegations that Caryn Chandler orchestrated a master plan to seize control of the Roloff empire, a plan that allegedly involved stealing $1 million and tearing a family apart. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of you weighed in, confirming that the dream of the Roloff family was, for you, officially dead. But the story doesn't end there. In the weeks and months since the farm's sale imploded, the situation has escalated beyond what anyone could have imagined. The fallout has been catastrophic, leading to a social media war, shocking new financial revelations, and a decision from Zach and Tori Roloff that has served as the final, devastating nail in the coffin of this family legacy. Welcome back to the investigation. Today, we're not just talking about allegations. We're talking about consequences. We're examining the aftermath of the heist. What happens when the lies are exposed and the family has to pick up the pieces? We have new evidence to present, new on-screen moments to analyze, and an exclusive deep dive into the real reason Zach and Tori are quitting the show forever. This isn't just a family feud anymore. This is the end of an era. In the immediate aftermath of the farm sale disaster, a Cold War descended upon the Roloff family. But this war wasn't fought behind closed doors. It was fought in the most public arena of all, social media. And through their posts, their captions, and even their silences, each family member told their side of the story. First, let's look at Matt Roloff. Faced with a tidal wave of backlash from viewers who saw him as the villain who sold out his own kids, Matt went into full-on damage control mode. He took to Instagram and Facebook with long, rambling posts, trying to rewrite the narrative. He wrote things like, "It's sad that the edited version of the show doesn't reflect the reality of the generous, half-off offer I made my sons. Sometimes family entitlement gets in the way of good business." He painted himself as the victim, a hardworking father whose generosity was thrown back in his face. He blamed armchair quarterbacks for not understanding the complexities of running a multi-million-dollar farm. But the public wasn't buying it. The comments were brutal, with thousands of people calling him out. They pointed to his own words from past seasons, where he repeatedly promised the farm as a legacy, not a retirement fund. And what about Caryn? Her strategy was markedly different, and in many ways, far more telling. While Matt was fighting fires, Caryn adopted a posture of blissful, unbothered ignorance. Her Instagram became a carefully curated feed of smiling selfies with Matt, luxury vacations in their beloved Arizona, and posts about living their best life. A caption might read, "So thankful for the peace we've found in our new home." All that matters is creating a healthy, happy, and non-toxic environment for our children. Family is everything. The keywords were impossible to miss. Peace, healthy, non-toxic. These weren't just happy family posts. They were declarations of independence. They were drawing a line in the sand, creating a clear distinction between the toxic environment they left behind at Roloff Farms and the peaceful sanctuary they were building for their own family. The social media war made one thing clear: there was no going back. The bridges hadn't just been burned. The ground they stood on had been salted. Part 2. The final betrayal. Zach and Tori quit the show. Narrator: 4 months. Rumors swirl that Zach and Tori were done with Little People, Big World. And just recently, those rumors were confirmed. In a quiet announcement on their podcast, they made it official. They will not be returning to the show that made them famous. They are walking away from the TLC paycheck, from the production crew they grew up with, and from the platform that documented every major moment of their lives. Why? Their official reason was a desire to protect their children from the pressures of reality TV. But anyone who has been watching knows the real reason. This wasn't just a lifestyle choice, it was an act of survival. The farm deal wasn't the final straw, it was a stick of dynamite. Sources close to production have allegedly stated that filming the last season was unbearably tense. Zach and Tori were forced to film scenes with Matt and Caryn that were painfully awkward and emotionally draining. They were essentially being paid to interact with the people who had, in their eyes, betrayed them in the most profound way possible. Think about the psychology of this. Zach was not just quitting a TV show, he was quitting his family. He was making a public statement that the relationship with his father was so broken, so toxic, that it was no longer worth any amount of money to even pretend. By leaving the show, he was removing Matt and Caryn's last remaining leverage over him. He was taking back control of his own story. This decision is the single greatest piece of evidence supporting the claims against Caryn. A son does not walk away from his father, his history, and a lucrative career over a simple business disagreement. He walks away because of a betrayal he finds unforgivable. The departure of Zach, Tori, and their 3 children creates an extinction-level event for the show. They were the heart of Little People, Big World. They provided the connection to the next generation, the family moments, the joy. Without them, what's left? The show becomes Matt and Caryn build a big house, a spin-off nobody asked for. Their exit proves that the family brand of the show is officially a lie. It's a hollowed-out shell, and Zach and Tori just turned the lights off before they left the building. Part 3. Follow the Money, Part 2. The Arizona Dream House. Narrator. While Zach and Tori were making their quiet exit, Matt and Caryn were embarking on a very loud, very expensive new chapter. The construction of their massive dream house on Roloff Farms began in earnest, a project featured heavily on the show. But at the same time, they were pouring money into their second home, their escape hatch in Arizona. This is where we must follow the money. In the last video, we theorized that the stolen million was a symbolic figure representing the profit Matt and Caryn stood to gain by selling the farm to a stranger instead of their kids. Now, we see the fruits of that decision. The optics are, to put it mildly, terrible. On one hand, you have Zach and Tori forced to uproot their lives and buy a new home an hour away after being priced out of their own family land. On the other, you have Matt and Caryn spending what is clearly an astronomical sum on a custom-built mansion, complete with every luxury imaginable. For viewers, the connection is direct and infuriating. They see every dollar spent on that dream house as a dollar that should have gone towards securing the family legacy. They see the marble countertops and the custom cabinetry and believe it was paid for by the sale of Zach's birthright. This lavish spending becomes the proof of the crime. It confirms the theory that this was never about Matt's retirement. It was about funding a specific, extravagant lifestyle with Caryn, a lifestyle that required liquidating the family's most precious asset. The Arizona home, once just a vacation spot, now looks like the headquarters for the entire operation, a place to escape the Oregon drama and enjoy the spoils of their victory. Part 4. The Legacy in Ashes. What is left? Narrator. So, what is left of the Roloff legacy? The farm is in limbo. The 16 acres Matt put up for sale for $4 million never sold. He eventually delisted it and turned it into a short-term rental, a decision many fans found tacky and disrespectful to the family home. The future of the iconic property is more uncertain than ever. It's no longer a family hub, it's a fractured plot of land with a bitter history. The family is destroyed. Matt's relationship with Zach is reportedly non-existent. His relationship with his other son, Jeremy, who also failed in his bid to buy the farm, remains strained. The only child he seems to have a consistently positive public relationship with is his daughter, Molly, who has stayed far away from the show and the drama. Amy, for her part, seems to be thriving in her new life with her husband Chris, but the pain of seeing her family torn apart is evident. And the show, Little People, Big World, is on life support. Without Zach and Tori, the narrative engine is gone. TLC is now faced with an impossible choice. Either cancel one of its longest-running and most beloved shows, or try to Frankenstein it into something new, centered only on Matt, Caryn, and a dwindling, disconnected cast. Conclusion: the winner takes it all. Narrator: when we started this investigation, we asked if Caryn Chandler was a criminal mastermind or a convenient scapegoat. After analyzing the aftermath, the social media war, the devastating exit of Zach and Tori, and the blatant financial disparities, the picture becomes chillingly clear for millions of viewers. The jail time rumor was always a metaphor, but the sentence has been carried out. It's the show itself and the family that are in a prison of dysfunction and resentment. The stolen million was never about a literal cash grab, but the family's future, their legacy, and their relationships were stolen nonetheless. In the end, it appears Caryn Chandler got everything she wanted. She has the man, she has the money, she has the new dream house, and she has a future free from the family dynamics she could never quite conquer. She has total control. She won the war, but the victory came at the highest possible